Hi everybody, welcome to our session, which is called Building High Impact K-14 ICT Digital Media Pathways in the East Bay Region. Rolls right off your tongue. I'm Sherry Suisman. I'm from the Career Ladders Project. I'm going to let the other panelists introduce themselves, but should we close the doors, or is that uninviting? And I'm just to jump ahead, I'm going to tell you, we have a very short presentation, I hope, scheduled, and then we really want this to be a discussion, and we're going to tell you a little bit about the East Bay Career Pathways Trust and what this group is doing and our work with it, and then we're going to open it up. We'd love to hear your thoughts on what we're doing and then what other thoughts of other people are doing in other regions. So that's kind of the big overview. In fact, it's right here. So I'll let the panelists and introduce themselves, and then we'd love to hear from you and hear who you are and what you're interested in getting out of today's session.
I'm Olivia Herriford. I am Associate Director at MPICT and currently working with Career Ladders, providing technical assistance to the state.
I'm Gretchen. I'm the Links Learning Director for the Oakland Unified School District, and previous to that I taught combined English and filmmaking in the digital arts pathway for 17 years. I'm excited. I haven't seen people who are doing this for a while, so it's very exciting to me, and I'm very passionate. Although at this point I'm actually out of the moving on the technology, right? You're being out of the and my expertise is more in digital media. Director of special projects through technical education and college. But I started my career as a fourth grade teacher at the Oakland Unified School District. So I love those. I'm completely biased towards this area of expertise. I'm the granddaughter of an animator. Animator for Walt Disney and the Very Chef. And this is just, I love doing technology together with art.
We just go around the room and just say your name and where you're from, and if there's anything in particular that you're interested in getting out of this presentation, or if you want to just tell us that you chose this presentation because you were already in this seat from the last presentation, that's fine too.
Right next door to us in San Diego High School. It was cultivated.
We hope so too. Yeah.
So then after one of the people in the city decided to get that time. They did not get the what they needed to get while they were in high school. Now today in high school we say, oh, you're good. That's what those in college. No, we're not good. But we were born. We made we said we break this up. What should we do now? And then that's for it. Never
yeah. And Tuan, have you come to any of the East Bay Career Pathways Trust events?
Last year, you remember we had a meeting at Berkeley College where you worked together.
Oh, for the application. Okay.
One of the points that I made was open up that.
Oh, I do remember. Yeah.
Whatever 16, 13 years old kids can go to come. You can help students and college students that I am good at. I also want to do this. It's like you can think of the work why
Thank you. Thank you. That's great. That's great. I'm happy to have that. Got it. Thank you. Thank you. You're up, Tom.
Hi, John Green, that's Director of here. We want to our colleges in the area. And there's been a lot of work my university is a corporate and we have a grant of the National Science Foundation to work on creating pathways between high school and Olivia, Oakland, and more local politics. Right now,
yeah. I'm sure my teaching is all about college students. So we have that, I don't know, 80, 5, 40, 14, 40.
If you say enough numbers, you'll get to it. Yeah, yeah. Great. Great. Great, we're happy to have you. Did you mean support? Yeah, I thought so. I know. This is perfect. This is a great group. Yeah. And although I haven't said this to you, this is not going to be super formal. So if, as we are speaking, you want to know more, I think almost all of us have been classroom teachers. So just interrupt. We'll get back to where we are. Happy to have this be more conversational. So, and I'm going to go quickly through my part so we can get to the meatier pieces, I think. Again, I'm from Career Ladders Project, and we work with community colleges across the state, helping them develop and implement career pathway programs. We provide technical assistance to colleges all across California. We are working as one of the technical assistance providers on the East Bay Career Pathways Trust. We deliver we deliver professional development and training. We are doing some work around the regional pathway action teams, which we'll tell you about in a second. We're facilitating some of the action planning, helping to gain buy-in from the systems, spurring systems reform, and then doing some coordination and development of the leadership of the project. So if you want to know more about Career Ladders Project and you don't, please see me afterwards. I'm happy to tell you more about it. I think most people in this room already know about the Career Pathways Trust. I'm assuming that if you're in this room, you know that. $250 million linking education and careers, and the CPT is really designed to help students stay in school and move toward college and employment in the high-demand fields. There were 2 applications from the East Bay, and we've already heard about the other one, which is the Diablo Gateways Innovation Consortium, are the other folks, which also does not roll off your tongue. None of these, and I don't think that's not our business, really, is coming up with the quick ones. But this presentation is about the East Bay Career Pathways Trust, which we call the 880 Corridor, and I think, is my next one, the slide, you can actually see a picture of it. Here, it's the orange-ish one, and it includes everybody all the way from Contra Costa down to, Chabot kind of got cut out, but it's that long corridor. It's $15 million in funding. It was one of the awards for $15 million, 2014 to 2018, and there's a different funding and for the Diablo Gateways Innovation Consortium. We call 680, but I think we're trying to move away from the names of the freeways.
Although we did that very intentionally. I mean, one of the reasons that we're in Alameda County and we reached up through Contra Costa, but it's really a community.
Yeah.
And many of our students and their families do kind of move along that whole corridor. And there are 11 school districts, all of them in the entire region, put their hat into the Career Pathways Trust application. And we didn't expect that when we first started. A little district like Piedmont, Emeryville, it has 1 high school. We didn't expect them to come into the consortium, and yet they did. And so it made us feel like a solid team when that happened. And then we have what?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And it's, yeah, well, briefly. And as you, I think, know, we're bringing together this really wide range of school districts, community colleges, workforce investment boards, regional occupation programs, in our case, the Alameda County Office of Ed, business partners, technical assistants, professional development providers, and it's all in, right? I mean, that's a lot, all in the vein of reshaping the East Bay K-12 educational system around 4 different career pathways. This is just a quick scope. I mean, I think this list is kind of daunting. These are the secondary and post-secondary. They're sort of mapped out here. We're doing some work. What you'll see missing from this is industry and community partners. I think as a consortium, we're trying to figure out the best ways to bring in industry and community partners so that we're not duplicating efforts that are already underway, that we're using folks for the best capacity that they have. We know that a lot of industry people are already well utilized, and we want to make sure that as we bring in the community folks and industry people that we're doing this in a way that makes sense for everybody involved. So I think most of the work is so far has been around secondary and post-secondary partners, and I think as the grant goes on, there'll be quite a bit more involvement on that front. For this particular consortia, the focus is on, the interlocking regional and local communities of practice and building that out. They're pretty broad goals and they're pretty ambitious goals, I think, which they're up here. I think they roll off your tongue easily, and yet I think achieving them is going to be more complicated. The student outcomes for the first year are clear, and they're not up on this slide, but the outcomes for the first year are more students enrolled in pathways, more students enrolled dually or concurrently in high school and college, and more students engaged in work-based learning. So pretty specific about what we have to do. We don't have numbers attached to that, and Katherine and Gretchen will tell you a little bit about what's happening with that work right now. Our focus so far has been on dual enrollment and concurrent enrollment, early college credit opportunities for students. As the spring moves on, we'll be working on work-based learning opportunities. There are a lot of challenges to this grant, of course. Although it goes to 2018, there's a lot to be done, and bringing together all of these institutions and organizations that have, for the most part, worked alongside each other, mostly kindly to each other, but not together, is a real shift in how we do our work. And I think all of the consortium are feeling that. And this is such a broad swath of organizations that it's, without doubt a challenge in how we're going to do this. One of the ways that this consortium constructed its organizational chart, its hierarchy, is that we have regional pathway action teams. And they're for each of our industry sectors. We're here only to talk about ICT and media. And the way that this is constructed for the first year, there are 4 large convenings and then additional work that will happen in between. So our group, the ICT Digital Media Group, came together in October. We're coming together, and in December, and we're coming together in less than a month again for our 3rd time. And I'm going to let you talk about that, what we're doing next week. Yeah, it's a lot. And for each sector, each of the sector for the regional pathway action teams are made up of educators who want to work on creating better pathways for students as they move from K-12 into the community college. The work that's happening on the ground locally is going to inform the regional work. We have faculty champions from most, I would say, but not all, of the schools and colleges right now who are really leaning into this work. Right now it's about early college credit opportunities, and we'll hopefully go back to their colleges and their districts and help bring folks together. It's definitely a work in progress, I would say. I think there are a lot of opportunities here. The focus for us is really on creating more successful transitions from high school to post-secondary and to careers. And I was trying to remember who said it about students moving from a computer science class into, it was you, Tuan, right? They're in high school, they have some success in high school, and they get to their community colleges and they're on their own. They're in this big place. They're not in a small school. They don't have a teacher that looks after them. They're with peers who they don't know anymore. And really for us, we work also with counseling and with a lot of administrators to figure out how to make those transitions better. That's not going to be the big part of this presentation, but that is what is also happening in the consortium right now. And the idea is really to move across the region and help remove barriers for students, and then to gain resources and infrastructure to support the work, the other piece that's happening. So last slide, I think, for us, for me, is this is an even better one, I think, of all of the schools and colleges that are involved. And you can really see, is this the one where we have the BART line in it? Yeah, so you can actually see, which is pretty useful. And if you're from this part of the state, you know that really the BART line is pretty key for our students who are not going to otherwise go to a school where they can get to easily. So we're trying to pull players from a lot of different schools, a lot of different districts, and I will let these guys tell you about how that's working out so far. Oh, I'm sorry, my other slide with your name didn't make it in. I know. So yeah. Katherine and Gretchen, take it away.
Oakland Unified, Katherine's at Berkeley State College, and we have, can we just put this down? I'm gonna put it right there. It's gonna be a little long for a minute. So we represent, sort of metaphorically, many of the relationships that we're trying to foster through this grant, right? Where K-12 and community college are sitting together, problem solving and together. I'll just say a little bit about the high school perspective and then let Katherine go, because she actually has slides and I don't. So ICT and digital media, these are some of the first pathways, I think, that started in high school. I don't know how many of you were here, a couple of high school people. These are kind of besides health pathways, computer science and especially digital media programs were sort of the first ones to sort of come up out of the soup, right, as we were trying to make more meaning for kids in high school. Mainly because of high student interest and engagement, right? If kids got to be on computers or use video cameras, they got to bring out their creative side, but they were also learning some really cool technical skills. And for teachers, it wasn't a large leap to try to figure out how do you integrate making a film into English or history. It's very easy. So some of the earliest integration efforts, I think, also happened in ICT and digital media. So there have been some long-standing programs, and we have some very veteran folks, especially in our particular corridor, that doing this work for a really long time and have sort of been feeling bad about their kids, right? Their kids go through maybe 3 years of a program in high school and then trying to steer them to the right community college, if that's where they're going to go, instead of the right 4-year, can be difficult, right? Because sometimes in the K-12, we were able to write these very audacious grants and get great computer labs. And kids were using sort of, when I was in the classroom, ethics, right? If you get your Mac machine, you had iMovie, and then Final Cut. Kids were learning how to do that, and then they were going to community college, and all it was available was like 3-point camera studio stuff, right? Like, what? Really? I already know how to do this. They were seen as kind of the tough kids, right, who come in with all this knowledge. Community college people were like, you know too much to be in my class, I don't really want you to be here, you're a big know-it-all. So it's sort of like, how do we capture what the kids are learning at K-12 and hand them off in a very warm way to our community college partners, and how do we open up a dialogue with, this is what we can do at the high school now. These are the resources that we have. We want to be able to send you a great group of kids, and you don't have to go back to letter A with them. We're going to send them to you on M. So let's figure out how to give them some college credit while they're doing that in high school, right? So talking about dual enrollment, which is what we're going to talk about a little bit more, so that they really do feel held. They finish high school with some college credit already in what they think their career trajectory might be. So that's kind of the perspective that we're bringing, particularly in this ICT digital media.
And ICT, I'm a person that goes to meetings for a living, but these are the faculty that are on the ground with the students that make this possible. And it started really with our multimedia arts department. Lee Marsh, who's now retired, who trekked up the hill with me to Skyline High School to meet Mark Frey, who has been at the Computer Technology Academy there for 15 years. And it's just a blessing because he'd already had the articulation agreements. They were in the drawer and signed by Peter Crabtree and Katie Coley, and we pulled them out and I said, oh my God, these are wonderful, and they're totally expired. And has any student ever come to Peralta and gotten the credit for this? And he said, I have no idea. And we really sat there together, and he and Lee, and we're just like, this is wrong to put the onus of this on the students, to have to navigate between these two systems. And Mark talks about it in terms of the castle at the high school. And you're in the high school, and you're safe, and you're in this academy, you've been doing this for 3 years, and then they do this great party and celebration. Some students get C, some get 60 much. They lower the moat, and you're dumped out. And it's like, it's a community college, you just got to swim a little bit, Cal, swim a little bit farther. And, the sharks are circling, and they're proprietary schools. And they've got letters and donuts, and, come right in and we'll register you right away. And it's like, swim by ITT Tech, you don't want that loan. And it's really a mess. It's a lot to put on someone who just got their driver's license and is, just able to vote. And so we really started to look at this. How can we make this so that it's just more user-friendly? the user experience is better for the students. And what we discovered in an early meeting with the principal at Skyline, where we kept referencing, and then the high school counselors will do this or this, and he slammed his hand down on the table and said, we don't have any counselors, which is no longer true. But it was at that moment, other baby counselors. And we just sat with that. He said, I am the counselor. Mr. Frey is the counselor, the janitor, the coach. We are all the counselors with these students. And I said, oh boy, you know, we only have 7 counselors at a college of 7,000. Maybe we could send some of ours up the hill, our baby counselors. And that's what we started doing. And it was just the idea of let's smooth this process out. CCC Apply, our system that we use to get the students in, is cumbersome. I have still not successfully navigated it. You know, it's just not fun. And those things that you click off are really important for the student success, and as an administrator, I'll say our funding success for Perkins, for all these other, you know, little nitty-gritty details that help us get money for resources, our money to pay for materials and equipment. So we said, okay, and then I said, all right, so they've done this, they've done that in the classroom. Why don't we bring them to the school? And really, literally, they're not swimming alone. They're just coming to visit. And so we brought 150 students from both Mark Frey's Computer Technology Academy as well as Peter Heckle's animation program at Oakland Tech. And the security guard at Berkeley City College told me I was crazy. It was just going to be a disaster. And it was a blast. Because we invited them to an event we have every single year called the Multimedia Arts Spring Showcase. And they got to see the early previews and have lunch with us and then go to laboratories, to little mini classrooms. And what we have, we don't have the final data yet, is the students are migrating. They are getting on BART, they're getting on buses, they're getting in their cars, they're getting on bikes, and they're coming from Oakland Unified. We knew this was happening already from the high school report, from the data, that 55+% of Oakland Unified School District graduates were ending up at Peralta. They weren't ending up at Berkeley City College. They weren't ending up in programs they'd spent the last 3 years studying in. What a shame. What a horrible shame. They were just wandering onto a campus, and in some cases up to 10 years after they had left OUSD, and then beginning to their family, to the community, to our economy, as they're wandering about. And so let's get them there instantly. And what we're finding when I have both Peter and Mark come visit is their students are here. They're registered in CIS courses, they're registered in computer science classes, they're registered in multimedia arts. Some of them sort of forget all these things. I'm studying sociology. I can't help them there, but we're happy that they're there and that they're on our campus. And so now we are delighted that with this $15 million, with this 3 years, we can scale up this initially Irvine Foundation linked learning project to be in all of these different pathways. And really, our focus now is on to support our computer science, computer information systems faculty to dig in and do the same work that the multimedia arts faculty has done. We are only able to do that because our chair emeritus, Neil Dunlop, has come out of retirement and is assisting our current chair, who is 2 computer scientists in the district, to do this work. Because Twana, our chair, teaches full time, because Yale computer scientists are not running around in big numbers at community college. We are so lucky to have them. And so to find people who are qualified to teach these courses is very hard, and that's one of the challenges as we go out into the community and into industry. We ask them if they can help us, because we need people that meet the minimum qualifications to teach these courses, because they are full, they're packed, they're on evenings, they're on weekends, and I go in and there are rooms of 40 and 50 students who want to learn this, and we want them to come, and so we need the faculty there. Totally off topic. Oh, this was really just our purpose. It was, and I'm totally over time. Data, demand. My 2 stories are, one, that the demand has really been student-driven. We have students that are cobbling together computer science, electrical engineering degrees from all 4 Peralta colleges and getting into UC Berkeley. They leave Peralta with no degree. That's heartbreaking. Just heartbreaking. And then the final is, I will say just briefly, there's the data on diversity. I'm going to share very briefly the Arts and Media Entertainment Summit that Career Ladders held in Southern California that blew us away because it was employers, people that worked at Fox, who said, I can't find the students I need at NYU and USC. You're going to have to bring them to me from the community college. First of all, I couldn't believe anyone from Fox was saying that out loud. Second, they just really internally said, this is how important our work is. The women, the students of color that are in our classrooms that aren't going to go directly to a UC or an NYU or a USC are really needed in this area. And we have an incredible opportunity to get them into this field and do transformative work which will provide them sustaining income and transformative power in our community, but a larger role in the democracy. So that's my plug, but I don't think I need to say it in this room. And so I will now totally run the capacity work to Olivia.
MPICT has really, I think, the value that we've brought to not only this project, but others that have applied and won their AB86 grant, has been really knowing your market. Really knowing your market. And we've worked very closely with John Center of Excellence to do statewide studies, and most recently looking at ICT supply and demand in the Greater Bay Area, and I think that's what's been very valuable to this project. So I'm just going to skip right over that because this is all data that we have. And talk about why MPICT, Evan and I were invited to participate in this project, and that for the last 2.5 years, he and I have been working with San Francisco Unified and City College to create pathways. And our initial focus was actually on dual enrollment. We had some really pretty successful outcomes the first year. And but what began to happen afterwards, if any of you guys listened to Brenda's presentation this morning, stuff. Okay. Stuff got in the way, both from both sides of the equation, as well as funding. And so we have been convening. We did the same thing. The convenings were wonderful. We were meeting twice a year with stakeholders, and I think it's really kind of very, very similar to the stakeholder groups that we were working with at EastEd. And that was the high school teachers, the city college faculty, workforce development, and community-based organizations. And what we were hearing from all of the faculty, particularly the high school teachers, was, again, computer science faculty are so precious. And I think there was only one, Annie, really, who was part of our group. And Art Simon, we had Art Simon. And so, but that was it. But a really strong arts and media and entertainment program in academies, same situation where those were the academies and programs that were attracting the students, and particularly attracting underrepresented students, women, and so we're still working on how to really reconnect those pathways. That's something that we still need to work on. Our focus has been, though, loud and clear, though, was to professional development for the San Francisco Unified teachers. A lot of them were really uncomfortable teaching this curriculum. They knew what they had to do it, but they were uncomfortable doing it. And so that became our focus for the last couple of years, and it probably will continue to be the focus because that, for our funders, has the most impact. The other thing that we worked very closely with the San Francisco Office of Economic and Workforce Development. They have been very supportive in connecting with the CBOs and the programs there, because again, another thing that we found was and it's probably the same in a lot of the districts, the disparity of what's available to students depending on the neighborhood of where that high school is. And a lot of the students that are interested in arts and media are ending up in a lab put in by Blue Bear at Bayview Hunters Point Y instead of classes at Bergman or Herriford. But maybe they're not even going there. They're more interested in going to the community-based organization. So we really have to bring this different along. So those are the differences that we have. The other thing that I think is really important, and I think this also came up this morning, was awareness, perception about ICT digital media. And a lot of it is with the teachers. And so one of the things that Evan and I also did together, we did a landscape. We did a environmental assessment of what's out there, what exists as far as courses, programs on both sides of the equation. And we found that we had this plethora of information. So we began putting together collateral. We began to do flyers and handouts. And for every high school in the San Francisco Unified School District, we had ICT at Lincoln High, ICT at Thursday Marshall, ICT at Lowell, so that a teacher can hand out this information to students. That includes what courses they can take at the high school, what are the potential pathways at City College, what programs at community-based organizations, here's who we call for dual enrollment, here's potential courses that we can engage in. So that was very helpful. And we're currently working on the website. So hopefully, and I think it was you this morning that gave me some very good feedback. I talked about the counseling toolkit this afternoon, and we may be able to find some ways for them to step. That's a project. That's an MPICT project versus a pathway project. But I think it'd be very interesting.
I'd love to use the last minutes for your questions and comments. I did want to sort of give one shout out. One of the things that we are doing in the MPICT Career Pathways Trust is on January 15th we are doing a course hackathon. So we are bringing together high school teachers and community college faculty, 3 hours, and we're really putting them in a room. We're going to give them some tools, but we're mostly going to give them time to come together and think about what kind of a dual enrollment or concurrent enrollment course they can create together. And this isn't our first step into this. This will actually be our third. We've met before. We've done some community building. We had the teachers create dream sequences. What would it look like at your high school to get a student smoothly into a community college? If you're a community college instructor, what would it look like? What would students come to you with? And then we had we had faculty go around, read each other's posters, slap sticky notes on it saying, I want to be involved in this kind of a dream sequence. I'd like my students to be connected to this. So the big event comes in a couple of weeks where we bring folks together, we feed them dinner, we give them a lot of tools, and we do the next steps. Because what we really know is that creating these transitions, these dual enrollment courses, is not easy. And we're doing it across this huge geographic area with all these different school districts and community colleges. So it takes time and it takes some resources. So that's our next step. We don't really know if we're exactly on the right track in terms of timing, but we feel like we are on the right track in terms of bringing people together and having them create this work together. So just give a shout out about that. Comments, questions?
Well, you're way ahead of this.
And it is a race, right?
You know, that was one of my questions when I asked the district office, because we heard that all the way to the movement on range, and we knew about high school. And I was like, this is what you want, but I want to be there from the beginning. I want to know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
How do I react to I don't know, right? And so it sounded to me like these were all coordinated together, statewide and GovNet and all that. And so that was kind of like, you guys, leading the way, and Oakland, he's done some things
Mm-hmm.
in their area. We find them businesses in ours, which honestly was their Oakland. And so, but I didn't hear if you adjusted anything at the high school, K-12, before to move on, or if the colleges adjusted any curriculum.
I think we're just getting to that point where there's also a high they are and feel benefit from the work of the created all from scratch. And so I think the more we collaborate and share, the more different things we build. And I also shout out that in addition to the unseated 70 and include training. So everyone needs information together.
And I would say meet.
Yeah.
Like 4 hours. I mean, they're not close. Knowing that you might be interested, you can certainly add you to our invite.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like our rooms are full. I mean, they're pretty full.
Well, they're pretty full. I mean, yeah.
They're pretty full, but why not be cross-pollinating? Maybe what you do is go take a best practice back and we learn from you when you're sitting there with us. The project director for the DEI has been telling to many of our guests. I think setting it up to speed.
And I would also say that some of the relationships really started long before the CCT money came through. I mean, you know, and there isn't time to talk about that, but I mean, there was California Community College Link Learning Initiative, and there have been a number of other initiatives and projects that people have been working together in kind of a capital initiative in pretty small ways, not as significant as small. And I think with those, you can build on them, and I think that's one of the benefits that we had, and which is not to say that at TGI it's not been happening, but I think there is some real movement that has come from that on our side.
I was talking to the principal of network, and I also went to the training at Oracle and I would like to say, send your teachers to some training that will have some understanding of what they are training about. And then let those teachers go back and talk to the college professors. Let them have a cross-check of the viewpoints from the training that they got at the same Oracle trying to sell their points. So then they come back to community college. We have a different vision. So then they would feel why we do it that way. And I don't know, but the community college changed was the past 1 year. Nowadays, they have been 2. So then it was wonder. But then no matter what how you will be able to show training or be flexible with the curriculum for your entire district in making a change so that at least students can be benefited from training of students and modify or update your.
Well, I think one of the things I would say to that we are doing simultaneously, and this is not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, is at our last convening, all of the regional pathway action teams met, and we've been working on for us, the dual enrollment, concurrent enrollment work. And at the same time, or shortly afterwards, the administrators all came together. And the idea is that the administrators are supposed to be working on some of the really thornier issues around getting courses passed through and some of the administrative pieces, so that the faculty and teachers can really work on the content part, and we can get the administrators to take hold of all of the stuff, as Brenda said earlier today, and work on those pieces. I don't think it is smooth yet. I mean, I hope I'm not speaking out of turn, because I think getting those two groups of people to be kind of on the same page is taking some work, but I appreciate that that is happening on 2 different levels.
So those are the easier to meet. Let's get those in, and then you're so honored when I get to do this, and let's put your opportunity to be a few it is delightful. Second, I'm not getting out of retirement. Like how push this one through because it is a full-time job. The department chair is also teaching full schedule of the science classes. Could not do it, especially full-time. So it is really using the resources that you have and looking at which is very targeted things to make it happen because some of the data that we've got the hundreds of supplies and the events beautiful thing to find you, but we know this is quite good, and we figure it out. And so it's really our job to really how to get them rapidly and figure out how to work on some very cumbersome processes that don't combine with the reality and the speed of language.
Don't be afraid and say, you will learn something. Don't promise them anything. Because the finding that I went through the campus, I was only one or two college professors in the West side who say that my district is other districts. They do understand having the I didn't know anything. They were not afraid to say. So that what I'm saying to you is that ask some of the teachers, go and learn about computer science for free, or for academy training free. Just get them there, and they come back and maybe one in the then say, here will be the additional support.
And then they do take us to down with their colleagues.
So they come back.
Yeah.
Because what we're hearing from some of our students is that we're in this language, and I'm doing community college and I'm with this language. And you can do that. Exactly. They need to be able to have a common.
So that is why I'm saying. When it comes to college, you have to be ready to support them super hard. Because some of the deans are pretty different. They always worry about their own stuff. They say this one. So then when it comes to allowing or make the option for the faculty to stop, they only know so much. So they cannot say, oh yeah,
I know we have to wrap up in just a couple minutes and hear from you.
Where are you with that, or studying?
We have a whole team that's working on data. We've all agreed through our MOU process to work with CalCAS in order to try to track students because our systems do not talk to each other at all. And we can track them to the National Student Clearinghouse, but the student information systems that are used by K-12 aren't even the same. And then community colleges have their very own little thing that they've been doing for who knows how many years, and they don't want to figure out how, to make it work. But that's it. Now we do. Now we're all trying to figure out how to make it work. And one of the things that we give students is California state ID number, right? Through CalCAS Plus, which you can help them through. So we need to be more intentional about visiting. And just knowing that they're there isn't enough, right? We need to know what they came with, and where we thought they were going to go, and were they facilitated to get there, and if so, how did that happen to be replicated, and if not, what do we need to do? Great point. So we have a whole other team that is working just on this data question, because not only do we need to be able to research your data, we are improving outcomes, right? And we are
do have student service. We want to be able to have a personalized learning plan and take it from them. You haven't they have right. So yeah, it's a big
I think figuring that out recently, that's a big issue. So
yeah.
K-12 districts communicating that data to all partners that their students go.
Yeah.
So whatever you learn, really very valuable.
I think also that as we can the other grants that came out.
Right, we're working on that.
Yeah, they're really looking at it, and some of the reasons that kind of popped out ahead, and I really am impressed by one of the
Right.
that they built on the Trade Adjustment Act funding grant, where they give it to the first time with the PDD, one numbers, and are saying, let's really take it to them. So, that group is 70, and I really think there's an opportunity for that. The estimate 70 to then share the vision. From other regions, people are excited to see that.
And that's the real win. Forget student outcomes. And I feel like that is a great note for us to end on, and I got the time out from Micah, so I know that we need to wrap up. But I just want to thank you all so much for coming. And if you, and staying, and I know that there's snacks and whatever downstairs, but if you have other questions, please seek any of us out, and we're happy to continue to talk about it.